Warning, proceed with caution. The following program documents the life of a 19-year-old whose hobbies included racing, building cars, and making financial decisions that financial advisors would strongly discourage. No amount of horsepower is ever enough. No racetrack is ever visited enough, and somehow there's always another part to buy.
What's up, worldwide? In the last video, we really got down to the bare bones of this interior by removing the dashboard, the headliner, a bunch of stuff, and it looks really close to bare bones. But there's a little bit more that we need to strip in the interior, such as this HVAC box in here. We need to get this insulation off the firewall. We need to end up pulling all this sound deadening off. So we're almost there, but not yet. So let's get after it. Alright, now that we got the dashboard out, I can really see that this heater box here is built around the car. So I'm going to have to remove this whole beam here, which that entails taking the steering wheel off, unbolting the steering shaft from the beam right here. I'm going to have to straighten up any of the wires. But before I do that, I need to get this heater core and the AC core out from this heater box. But before you could ever do that, you want to drain your coolant that goes into the heater core and drain your AC, which you need a machine for that to recycle it, which I already got that done, but I have a montage of me doing the coolant, so let's show that. Before you ever touch anything within the car, you first want to make sure that your AC lines are uncharged, which I know these are already uncharged because I did it at my shop. I didn't get a video of it, but I know they're uncharged. And also the heater core back here, we're gonna have to drain it of coolant, so when we take it out inside, it doesn't get all wet. So first, we're gonna have to remove this top mount intercooler. Now that we have our top mount intercooler off, we can see our heater core hoses right here. This is the inlet, this is the outlet, which it goes to a T-joint over here that it looks like this car already has a cylinder 4 like modification, a cooling mod. So on these cars, on the EJ, cylinder 4 usually gets a little too hot, so people put a coolant hose going down into the cylinder wall so it cools more. So that's good that this car already has it, but because this car is no longer going to need a heater hose on it, or the heater core, we can just take this inlet hose and bring it right to this T-joint, and it'll fit all perfectly fine. So, but first we got to drain the heater core. We got that safely and properly drained, we're going to take this top inlet hose off so we can connect the inlet hose just straight into the outlet, so we can just skip the heater core altogether. So let's get that done. Okay, let me show you a little bit about what I just did. So the heater core, this was the inlet, this was the outlet. I just took the inlet hose and connected it straight to the outlet. I am gonna need to come back here later because when they did this cylinder 4 mod, you can see this inlet hose is a little bit kinked. And that's just because it's too short, but I don't have any extra hose right now, so I'm gonna have to wait to do that. But it'll work now, and it's not leaking everywhere anymore, so we're all good. So let's move to the interior. Okay, now that we got our coolant drained out, we can come up to our heater core in here, pull those lines out, and pull the heater core itself out. So let's get after it. But also, before we do, we gotta realize that those lines might have a little bit of extra coolant in them still. So it might get a little wet in here, so I'm gonna put a rag down. Alright, so I was looking at the heater core, and I think it might just be easier to remove this whole beam here and the steering wheel to just make it easier on myself first. So we're gonna start with the steering wheel. Let's start that. I may have got carried a step too far there, but I got the steering wheel off. I got the steering shaft dropped. I pulled this fuse box panel off, so it's no longer sitting on this beam. So our next step is really getting to these screws over here. But also while I'm here, I might take a look at my steering shaft down there, because I know my intermediate, or the grommet for the firewall slipped out, so I need to pop that back in. But I don't know if I'm gonna do that now or later when I take the engine out. I'm still figuring out what I want to do with this steering system, because I don't know if I want to make it a manual steering rack or keep this steering system, but that's still yet to come. So let's start getting this main bar off so we can get this box out. Bolts up, this beam should just wiggle itself right out. As long as there's still a box connected, but it'll come right out after that box is unconnected. Now that that box is out, this one right here, I should just be able to pull this whole beam out. Whew. As long as it's not stuck on anything again. It's not fun. Alright, now I can get this beam out. Okay, now that we got that whole beam out, you can really see this AC box. And I don't think I would have been able to get this out with this beam in there. But now that I'm looking at this box, I think the last thing really holding it in is this bolt down here. And then if you come back here, it's the AC lines. So I'm going to try and disconnect those and see where I go. Okay, so I got this bottom bolt down here, and now this whole box wants to come out. Like I said, the last thing holding it in are those AC compressor lines, but I'm gonna have to walk around the car underneath the intercooler. You see them right there. So those two lines are gonna have to come off. So let's get after it. Okay, we got our AC lines out pulled. Later we're gonna remove these lines entirely from the AC compressor, remove the AC compressor, remove this belt altogether, remove the condenser up front, this grill right here. But that's not what we're after today. Today we're working on the interior, and if we have time to it, we'll get to it, but not right now. But let's get back inside. Now that we got the AC lines on from the engine bay disconnected, this whole box should just pull out. So let's try it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. There, it's just the AC drain line. We can actually just pull that up. So, got this whole box out. Oh. Still got a connector. Silly me. Now that we got that out, it's a lot emptier in here and it looks really good. But the next thing that needs to go is that black insulator all around from here on the engine bay. That's all needs to get stripped. And then I gotta clean up this mess over here. So let's get after it. I got a good amount of that firewall insulation off. There's only a good amount near the driver's side, but as you can see, that is a wiry mess. So I'm gonna have to clean up the wires before I get any more of that off. But I might have to remove the steering shaft. I might have to clean all of that up. I'm just trying to figure out my best approach here. So let's keep trying. Because this firewall has been taking me way too long to pull this insulation out, and honestly I'm getting really confused with all these wires in here, and I'm getting a little nervous that I'm not going to be able to get it to start once I want it to start. So I'm just going to cut it for now, for today, just wrap up, go inside, look at the wiring diagram for my next episode, where I'm going to be taking care of all this wiring mess and make the wiring look a lot neater. And then after that, we can really get down to bare bones and chassis prep and prep everything to become a race car and get a roll cage in here. Until the next time.